Right. Now we're going to be covering the physical geography of the Caribbean islands. Then we're going to be talking about the climate zones and the resources. Okay, who's ready to read? Hannah, go ahead.
Okay, Miss. Physical geography of the Caribbean islands. Hundreds of islands dot the Caribbean Sea. The islands are home to more than 30 countries of territories belonging to other countries. Some are large, with millions of people living on them. Others are tiny and home to only thousands.
Right. So at the beginning, we'd like to clarify that Caribbean islands are having two kinds of islands. They have major islands which have thousands of people living on it, and other islands that are very tiny are home for only a few thousands. And this depends on the location, size, and also the available resources. Complete, Johanna, major islands.
Major islands. The Caribbean island can be segmented into three different groups. The first group is the Greater Antilles. The four islands, the largest Caribbean islands, including Cuba, Jamaica, Hispaniola, and Puerto Rico. Cuba and Jamaica are the independent countries. Hispaniola is home to two countries, Haiti in the west and the Dominican Republic.
These are actually the three divisions of the Caribbean islands. It's going to be divided into three segments. The Greater Antilles, okay, which has Hannah represented now. Then we're going to be completing the rest of them, which are the Lesser Antilles, and also we'll be having the third group of islands, which are the independent nations. Complete, Hannah.
In the east, Puerto Rico is a commonwealth of the United States. Although it is a possession of the United States, it has its own government. The people of Puerto Rico are American citizens. They can travel freely between their islands and the United States.
Right.
The second group of islands. Do I continue?
Yes, please.
The second group of islands is the Lesser Antilles. Dozens of smaller islands make up this group. They form an arc moving east and south from Puerto Rico to northern South America. Most of the islands are now independent countries. At one time, they were colonies of France, Britain, Spain, or the Netherlands. Each has a culture reflecting its colonial period. The third island group is the independent nation of the Bahamas. The islands lie north of the Greater Antilles and east of Florida. The Bahamas include more than 3,000 islands, although people live on only about 30 of them. The Great Antilles are a mountain chain, much of which is underwater. On a map, you can see this chain extends eastward from Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. These islands include some mountains, such as Sierra Mestra in the eastern part of Cuba, and the Blue Mountains of Jamaica. The highest point in the Caribbean is the Great Peak. In the Dominican Republic, the Lesser Antilles are formed by volcanic mountains. Many of the volcanoes are extinct or no longer able to erupt. Some islands have dormant volcanoes or ones that can still erupt but show no signs of activity.
Okay, thank you, Hannah. So again, let me explain this part. We said that the Caribbean islands can be split into three groups: the Greater Antilles, the Lesser Antilles, and the Bahamas. Okay, each group of them has some islands under it and has a special nature. The first one, which is the Greater Antilles, are four large islands: Cuba, Jamaica, Hispaniola, and Puerto Rico. Okay. Cuba and Jamaica are independent countries. Hispaniola is a home for two countries, and Haiti is located on the west side of the island. The Dominican Republic is on the east side, and Puerto Rico is a U.S. Commonwealth. It means a Commonwealth means that it has its own government, but people are considered American citizens. And in Puerto Rico, we consider people that are living there as American citizens. So again, the Greater Antilles, 4 large islands, some of them are considered Commonwealths, such as Puerto Rico, and some of them are independent countries, such as Cuba and Jamaica. What does it mean, a Commonwealth? A Commonwealth that people are having their independent government, but they are considered as American citizens. The Lesser Antilles are dozens of smaller islands, and most of them mostly are independent. Okay, and they are that's what I want, and they are only reflecting their colonial culture, which means if this island used to be belonging to France, it will reflect the French culture. If it used to be belonging to England, for example, it will reflect the English culture. Okay, and the Bahamas are an independent nation made of more than 3,000 islands. Another fact I want to know about the Great Antilles, that they are considered as mountain chain underwater. And it has some volcanoes. Some of them are extinct, that there is no longer well erupt. And other shows a sign of, are extinct, which means that they are only dormant, which means that they could erupt, but they show no signs of being active. They are not active actually, but they could erupt. So again, the Great Antilles are mountain chain. Most of them are underwater, and they show sign they are extinct or dormant, which means that they are not able to erupt, but some of them are showing a sign of activity. Till this, anyone need to ask any question? Here, the question can come at the form of a comparison to compare between the three groups of the Caribbean islands. And I want simple information. I want examples for the countries, and I want the nature of the Great Antilles, and I want an example of Commonwealth, which is Puerto Rico. Anyone want to ask any question about this part? All right, let's complete the Caribbean Sea, then the climate of the Caribbean islands. Adham, go ahead and read.
Caribbean Sea. The Caribbean Sea is a western arm of the Atlantic Ocean. In the past, sailing ships traveled west from Europe, followed trade winds blowing east to west to reach the sea. Christopher Columbus used the winds to reach the Bahamas in 1492. There, he first sighted land in the Americas. Columbus explored the Caribbean too. These voyages sparked European settlement in the Americas. The warm waters of the Caribbean help feed the Gulf Stream. This current carries warm water up the eastern coast of the United States.
All right. Here, what I want to know from here that the Caribbean Sea is the western arm of the Atlantic Ocean. It is very important. It was discovered by Christopher Columbus when he discovered the Bahamas, and it's considered one of the most important bodies of water in the Caribbean islands. Okay, that's what I want to know about this part. Laura, could you please tell us about the climate of the Caribbean islands?
Yes. The Caribbean islands have a tropical wet, dry climate. Temperatures are higher around 1 minute. Sorry, miss. To ocean breezes make life comfortable. Humidity is generally high, but rainfall is seasonal and varies significantly. Islands like Bonaire receive only about 10 inches, 25 centimeters of rain per year. Dominica, on the other hand, receives about 350 inches, 899 centimeters of rain each year. This is an average of almost an inch of rain every day. Like Central America and Mexico, the Caribbean islands are prone to hurricanes. These storms are more likely to occur in the northern areas toward the Gulf of Mexico than to the south. On average, 7 hurricanes strike the Caribbean islands each year.
Right, so here the climate is very easy. It has 2 seasons, tropical, wet and dry. And we know that the tropical, wet and dry means to have 2 seasons, summers and winters. Humidity is very high. They receive, not a plentiful of rainfall, but they receive normal one. And an inch of rain, it's not that much. But they are, the most important point here, that they are prone to hurricanes and storms. So here, the climate of the Caribbean islands, wet and dry, temperatures are a little bit high. They don't receive generally much rainfall. It's only a seasonal one. They are prone to hurricanes, right? That's all about the climate of the Caribbean islands. Let's talk about the resources. Who can read the resources? All right, Ritesh. Is Ritesh here, guys?
Miss, I'm here. The
Okay.
waters of the Caribbean are rich in fish. Some are fished for food and others for sport. The islands have few timber resources. Today, people have cut down most of the trees already to use for fuel or to make farmland. Mineral resources are generally lacking too. Although some Caribbean islands have important resources, Trinidad and Tobago has reserves of the oil and natural gas. The Dominican Republic exports nickel, gold, and silver. Cuba is a major producer of nickel. Jamaica has large amounts of bauxite. Perhaps the most important resources of the Caribbean are its climate and people. Warm temperatures are gracious. Hosts attract millions of tourists to the region each year. Some enjoy the white sandy beaches and clear blue water. Some scuba dive to see the colorful fish darting through coral reefs.
Thank you, Ritesh. As you know, like any country, natural resources are very important to actually enhance the economic activity for human who live there. Like any country, you'll find mineral resources, but actually they are lacking. They are not, generally they're lacking too. They don't have many mineral resources, but you can only find some oil reservoirs, some natural gas reservoirs. You can find that Cuba is a major producer of nickel. Jamaica produces gold, silver. Sorry, it has a large amounts of bauxite, which is used to make aluminium. But in general, they are lacking within mineral resources or the natural resources. But the most important resource in the Caribbean islands, which is very well known for all of us, is its climate. People go there in order to enjoy the warm temperatures. The gracious hosts attract millions of tourists. They enjoy the white sandy beaches and the clear water, the scuba diving and the fish darting, and also they enjoy watching the coral reefs. So this is one of the most important resource in the Caribbean islands. You'll find it actually not many mineral resources, but the climate is the most important resource for them. Okay, that's all for this lesson. Anyone want to ask any question, guys, about the lesson? Is it clear now?
Yes, Miss. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, you have the homework for this lesson for the practice book. You need to send it to me to the assignments before the end, before Sunday morning. This is the last homework for you this term. And inshallah, we're going to be continuing another lesson next week, but we won't have homework for it. Don't forget your quiz tomorrow. I'm going to be putting the link on the group and at the same time on the SMS. Okay? Okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
The session. Anyone want to ask any question before I end the session?
No.
Okay. See you later. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.